Hi everyone, my name is Miss Sarah from Phoebo Kids Art Academy. I'm very excited to be here today. We're going to be doing a project inspired by Easter and decorating eggs. So when you're done, your project might look something like this. So we're decorating Easter eggs and we're putting them in a background. So these can actually be taken out, so we're hiding our eggs. Each of these eggs is inspired by a famous artist. We have famous artist Alma Thomas, who is an African-American artist who did abstract paintings with lots of bright colors. We have Jasper Johns, an American artist who's famous for painting flags, maps, and numbers. We have Kay Sage, an artist who was a surrealist. We have Roy Lichtenstein, a pop artist who did lots of paintings that looked like comic books. We have Carmen Herrera, a Cuban-American artist who did abstract art and is actually 105 years old. Then we have Mondrian, an abstract artist who did lots of grids with primary colors. And we have Agnes Martin, who worked with grids and lots of soft, muted colors and lines. And then we have Yayoi Kasuma, who is a Japanese artist who was a pop artist and used lots of bright colors. So we're going to be inspired by them today as we create our eggs. So let's get started. So we're going to start on our background. It's going to be made out of construction paper. So I have two big pieces of construction paper. You can see they're quite long. And then I have a couple other pieces of construction paper. I have a white, a gray, a brown, and a green. I will also be using scissors, glue, and a pencil. So to start, we're going to use these two big pieces of construction paper. I'm going to draw on them using a Sharpie, but you're going to use a pencil. Okay, so these two pieces of construction paper, they are going to be our grass and then our sky. I have a piece of pink construction paper because I was thinking mornings and sunrises. But if you want to have a blue sky, you can have a blue sky as well. Just use a realistic sky color. But I'm going to be using pink. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to have a long curved line at the top part of the green construction paper. This is going to be the top of a hill. So with your pencil, make a long curved line going from one side to the other, like that. You're going to make a couple more lines on this part at the top. You're going to have a slanted line that starts about here and it will slant up to the end of the paper. And you're going to have another similar line on the right side. So your pencil is going to go on the top of the hill and it's going to go up and touch the end of the paper. So this is going to be the hill. And these are going to be pieces of grass that are going to be glued onto the hill. When you have these lines all drawn in, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut them out. Uh-oh. So I'm going to start cutting out my hill. We're just cutting along the lines, cutting along our pencil lines. This part is going to be quite big because this is where most of our eggs are going to be hidden. So I'm just cutting along my Sharpie line, and then I'm gonna have 2 pieces. There. Next, I'm gonna cut along this line. And then this line over here. I'm gonna put these 2 big pieces to the side because we're done cutting these ones. Now we have these 3 pieces, and we're gonna cut some triangles out of them. I'm gonna draw and show you what we're gonna be cutting out. So you're using a pencil, but I'm gonna use a Sharpie so you can see my lines. But I'm gonna make grass lines. It's gonna be grass texture. So to do that, I'm gonna put my pencil on this corner right here, and we're gonna draw a slanted line down, and then a slanted line up, another one going down, another one going up, down. We're gonna do this all the way until we get to this end. We're making kind of a zigzag pattern. Now, if you want to just use your scissors and cut out triangles without drawing, you can do that, but I'm gonna draw. I'm gonna do the same thing on this one. Gonna start on the corner, I'm drawing down, my zigzag pattern. These are our patches of grass, and we're gonna glue them down onto our background. And that's where we're gonna put our eggs. Almost done with this one, and then we have one more to go. There we go. And then this one, I'm going to start on this corner. It will look more realistic if you make the triangles different sizes. Like this triangle is shorter than this triangle right here. And then all the way to the other side. And now I'm going to cut these out. So I have my scissors, and I'm going to carefully cut out these triangles. Like that. Now when you're cutting, it's always good to have a trash can near you. That way you can just put your scraps in as you go. You want to keep a clean desk. It's just a little bit easier to make art if your area is clean. Now again, you should be using a pencil because your pencil lines will be harder to see. There we go. This one over here. Just cutting out my triangles. The grass is a little bit taller because that's where you typically hide Easter eggs, in tall grass. There we go. Now when I was making my background, I was thinking of a park, but it could be like a backyard. There you go. We're just cutting along our lines. We want to be careful with scissors, especially since we're doing kind of this tricky cutting. And if it's not exactly on the line, that's okay too, because grass, it never looks perfect. There we go. Oh, I have so many triangles out right now. So after the grass, we'll be working on other things that you might find in a park or your backyard. There we go. So I have my grass already. I'm going to throw my scraps away. And I'm going to put these to the side. Okay, so next we're going to draw a bush. So again, using your pencil, you're going to make a cloud shape on the bottom left-hand side of the paper. And I have my paper turned side to side, so I have a lot of space. I'm going to have a wider bush than it is tall, so my paper is going to be side to side. So to draw a bush, I'm going to make curved lines like letter C's in this left-hand corner. So I have one, this is going to be pretty big, 2, 3, and 4, like that. And I'm going to do the same thing on this top right corner. This one's going to be a little bit smaller. So I have a curved line, another curved line, and then a last one until I touch the paper. So now that I have this all drawn out, I'm going to cut it out with my scissors. And I'm just cutting along my line, going very carefully. Now I have 2 pieces because I'm going to glue one piece on top of the other, and it's going to form a pocket, and that is where I'm going to hide some eggs. So I'm just cutting along. When the paper gets a little bit smaller, once I'm done cutting this piece out, it's a little bit easier to cut. Sometimes it's easier to use a smaller piece of paper if you're cutting smaller things. And that's something we'll actually do on the next thing we're cutting out. So I'm almost done here, and then I'm going to have this big scrap of paper. I'll make sure to put that in my trash can. And there we go. We have our bush shapes. And I'm going to put these to the side again. And for what we're going to cut out next, I'm going to have cloud shapes. So I have my piece of construction paper, and I'm actually going to fold this in half. So I'm folding this in half. And then I'm going to cut along this line right here. That way we have a smaller piece of paper to work on. Because our clouds are not going to be very big today. And that way we have another piece of paper like this ready to go if we want to make more art. So I'm going to put this to the side. And I'm going to draw my cloud shapes. So the cloud shapes are pretty similar to how we drew a bush. It's going to be curved lines. I'm actually going to turn my paper this way so it's nice and tall. And I'm going to draw this curved shape, another one on the bottom, and then one on the left, like that. Now, if I'm ever going too fast, I know that cutting takes a lot of time. You can always pause the video. So work at your own pace. I'm going to draw another cloud down here. So work at your own pace. I want you to have fun because this is a pretty fun project inspired by a pretty fun activity. I love egg hunts. There we go. I'm going to cut out my clouds now. Like that. They kind of look like popcorn. Now we're actually going to hide an egg in one of these clouds, which is pretty silly if you think about it. But the egg that we're hiding in the cloud is an egg based on a surrealist artist. So I think it's pretty surreal to have an egg floating in the sky. There we go. Almost done with this cloud. And then we have just a couple more things to cut out. They're pretty simple. There we go. Okay, I'm going to put these to the side as well. And next we're going to take out the gray piece of paper. I'm going to have it nice and tall again. And I'm going to draw some rocks. Now the way I like to draw rocks is I like to draw like this. I'm going to put my pencil on the side of the paper and I'm going to draw a slanted line. And then another slanted line. Another slanted line. So my rock is kind of pointy looking. Another slanted line, and then one off the page. So it's kind of geometrical. So more like it's more like a square. It has like these corners. But if you want, you can have a rounded rock as well. That is perfectly okay. I'm going to draw another rock over here. But I'm going to keep doing my slanted lines because that's what I like. My rock is made out of straight lines. Yours could be made out of curved lines, or maybe a combination of straight and curved lines. But that's what we're going to draw for our rock. And then we're going to cut it out again. And once again, if I'm ever going too fast, you can pause your video. Just take your time. So I'm cutting my rocks out. Like so. I'm not quite on the line right now, but that's okay. When we glue these down on the paper, we'll actually turn them over so you don't see your pencil lines. So I have my other rock. This one's a little bit bigger. It's more realistic if your rocks are different sizes because no two rocks look the same, unless they were made that way. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna put these to the side. Then I have my last piece of paper, which is my brown. I'm gonna be making a tree. So to draw a tree, I'm gonna put my pencil on in the middle, and I'm gonna draw a line going down. Then I'm gonna stop right about here. I'm gonna have a line going out to the left, a line down, and then I'm gonna have a line going to the right until it's at the same part as my first up and down line. And then I'm gonna take my pencil and I'm gonna draw an up and down line all the way to the bottom. And now I'm gonna cut it out. So we're hiding one of the eggs in this tree. It's gonna go in, you know how that there are holes in trees sometimes and owls like to live in there, or squirrels? That's where we're gonna put our egg in today. There we go. There. I'm gonna put this in the trash. And now I have everything cut out. So now that everything is cut out, I'm gonna put this back. I'm gonna start gluing things together. So I have my, don't need the pencil anymore. I have my pink piece of paper. And I'm gonna glue my hill. Now you want to use the side that doesn't have any pencil lines on it. You want that side to be sticking up. So here's our sky and our hill. And we're gonna take our tree and our bushes. These are gonna be glued onto the sky. But let's arrange them first. So you can see my line on my tree. I'm gonna flip it over, and now I don't see my lines. So I'm gonna put one on this side here, and then my bushes are gonna go on this side, and they're gonna go underneath the hill. So I'm gonna take this and put this hill to the side, and then I have my glue. I'm gonna take the cap off. And I'm gonna put the cap somewhere where I will not lose it. And I'm gonna glue my tree first. So I'm gonna go around the edge of the paper. Like this. I'm using my glue stick around, I'm tracing the edge. I'm putting my glue on the side with my pencil lines, because then it will be glued on the table and you won't see it anymore. There we go, it's all gluey. I'm gonna flip it over, just like that. I'm gonna put it right up to the edge. Then I'm gonna smooth it down. Just smooth all the way around the edges. I'm gonna take my big piece of paper right here. I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go all the way around like this. There we go. And then I'm gonna add some in the middle, putting a lot of glue so it doesn't fall off later. And then I'm gonna flip it over and put it in the corner like that. Okay. So after this, we're gonna glue this piece of paper right here. I know it's a little hard to see, but I'm gonna turn my paper over so I see my pencil lines. It's gonna be opposite, so if this side has the bumps on it, if the left side has the bumps, this one, the right side, is gonna have the bumps. We're gonna put our glue on a little bit special on this smaller piece. I have my marker and I'm gonna show you where we're gonna glue. See, so we're gonna glue here and here on the corner. And I'm actually gonna draw that again, just so it's a little bit easier for you to see. We're gluing on these lines. So I have my glue. I'm gonna put glue on the lines I just drew. And then I'm gonna flip this over and I'm gonna stick it in the corner. I'm gonna put it right in the corner. There we go. Now only the corners are glued. That means I could put something in here later, which is what we're gonna do. Okay, so now that we have our objects in the background all glued down, we can put our hill. We can glue our hill like this. So to glue the hill, I'm going to put this to the side again. I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to glue on the bottom of the paper. I'm going to put glue on the tree and then on the bushes. There we go. Like that. And then on my hill, I'm going to put this. I'm going to put glue on this corner right here, this curve. I'm just going to trace the curve like that. Tracing the curve. Then I'm going to flip it over and glue it. Now line up the edges. And actually I want to pull it down just a little bit. There we go. So we have our piece of paper all glued. It's now one piece of paper. And we're going to put a couple more things in. So I'm going to scoot my paper up. And I'm going to start gluing my grass. So with my grass, I'm going to glue on the corner again. So I'm going to glue here and here at the bottom. So on the corner of my grass, that's where I'm going to put my glue. There we go. And then on this side, we're making another pocket. So I only have glue on the corner. And I'm going to put it in the corner right here. And then I'm going to smooth it down. And now we have a little grass pocket. I'm going to do the same thing for my other pieces of grass. So I have one here and then one here. For this one, I'm going to stick this corner up against the wall. That means we will have to flip it over. We're gluing here and here. So I'm putting my glue on the corners. Okay. And then I'm going to stick it right here. So it goes up against the corner of the paper, against the edge of the paper. And then I have my last piece of grass. I'm going to glue down below on the edge. So right here. I'm going to glue along that line I just drew, just on the edge. I'm not gluing up into the grass. And this one is going to go up here. Goes right in the middle. I know it's a little bit hard to see because it's green on green, but don't worry, we'll be drawing on it later on. Next, I have my 2 rocks. They're going to be glued down here. I'm going to switch this one and this one. I think it looks a little bit better. So for this, we're just going to put glue on the bottom, like that, and a little bit on the side. So I have my glue, I'm gluing on the bottom, and a little on the side. Then I'm going to stick it on the bottom of the paper. I'm going to put this smooth edge against the other edge. And then I have this one right here. I'm going to flip it over so I see my pencil lines. I'm going to glue on the bottom and a little bit on the sides. So there where you see my yellow marks. And there we go. Then I'm going to flip it over like that. So we have our 2 rocks. The last thing to glue will be our clouds, and they're going to go in the sky. So I'm going to scoot my paper back down so you can see the big sky. I'm going to put it like right here, and then another one right here. So for this big one is where we're going to hide the egg. So we're just going to put our glue on the bottom like this. So just on the bottom, that way we can put the egg into that paper pocket like that. And I'm going to make sure I put this one a little bit lower. That way our egg is going to go right here. We'll have enough space. And for this last cloud, we're just going to glue. It's not going to be a pocket. So I'm going to just take my glue stick and glue around the edges. And then I'm going to stick it right there. So we actually have one more thing to add to our background. It's going to be a piece of brown paper right here. So I have my matching brown paper. With your pencil, you're going to draw a long letter U like that, with another letter U underneath, and it's going to look a little bit like a crescent moon. You're going to cut that out with scissors like this. And this is going to be glued on the tree. And we're going to put an egg inside of it when we're all done. Here we go. Going to put my scraps to the side. Now we're going to be gluing on the pencil side. So if you see your pencil lines, that's where you're going to put your glue. But the glue is just going to go on the bottom part, like this. So on that line, we're going to put our glue. So just on the bottom part, because we're making a pocket, like that. And then we're going to flip it over. We're going to glue it onto our tree. There we go. And that is the last thing we have to do for our background. Now that we have our background all finished, we're going to start cutting out our eggs. So you're going to need a piece of paper. I'm going to put mine side to side. My paper is a little bit thicker, but really your paper should be able to be drawn on with marker. So I have my piece of paper side to side. We're going to go ahead and start right into our final drawing. So you're going to use a pencil, but I'm going to use a Sharpie so you can see my lines. So all of these eggs are inspired by different artists. This first egg I'm going to draw is just a very simple egg. And this one is based off of a surrealist artist named Kay Sage. And she did a memoir called China Eggs. And most of the eggs were pretty simple. Just kind of tan or white eggs. So I have this one all drawn out. And I'm actually going to start cutting it. I'm going to cut it out. That way we could use it to trace my other eggs. Now the egg that I drew, it's a pretty realistic size because I have a pretty big background. If your background is a little bit smaller, then you might want to have smaller eggs. Okay. So I have my egg all cut out. I'm going to use it to trace. And to do that, I'm just going to put it down on a piece of paper. And then I'm going to trace around it. And again, trace using your pencil. That way you can erase your lines later on. So I'm tracing. We're going to do a total of 8 eggs. Now tracing might be a little bit tricky, especially for round objects. Just go slow. Again, if you need to pause the video, go ahead and do that. There we go. I'm going to do 4 more. Now, it doesn't really matter where you put the eggs as long as you fit it on your piece of paper. But I like to work in rows. Another one. And as I mentioned before, these eggs are going to be decorated with marker. However, that's just how I'm going to decorate them. If you want to use another material, like if you want to use colored pencils or crayons, you can do that. But I'm going to use markers because I like the bright colors. There we go. So I have all of my eggs drawn out. Before we cut them out, we're going to decorate these eggs because we want them to match their artists. So this egg right here, this one doesn't need to be decorated because it's inspired by an artist named Kay Sage, and she had pretty realistic eggs in her surrealist paintings. So this egg is all done. But we're going to move to this one right here. And this one is going to be inspired by the artist Alma Thomas. And Alma Thomas, she was an abstract painter. Okay, so what we're going to do is just draw a circle, kind of in the middle of the egg. And that's it for our Alma Thomas egg. Okay. We're going to move on to this egg right here, and we're going to draw these curved lines going across the eggs. This one is inspired by the artist Agnes Martin. And she was an abstract painter. She worked a lot in patterns and geometrical designs. That means a lot of shapes. And she used a lot of soft colors, like light colors, pastel colors. So we're going to draw curved lines. This entire egg, when we're done with it, is going to be covered in curved lines. But we're just going to draw a couple guidelines. So in the middle, I'm going to curve a line. And our lines are curved because our eggs are round. So in the middle, we're going to have a curved line. And I'm going to put another one above. And then another one down here. And then a last one at the bottom. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 curved lines on the egg. And again, if I'm ever going too fast, go ahead and pause the video. Work on your own pace. Okay, so our next egg is inspired by the artist Jasper Johns. And Jasper Johns is famous for his American flag painting. And so we're going to draw an American flag on this egg. So I'm going to start by curving a line down. And then I'm going to put a curved line going to touch. So I have this kind of corner. And then when I have the corner, I'm going to keep curving that line. Then I'm going to fill the egg with stripes. And the stripes are the stripes of an American flag. So they're going to be colored in red and white. And then we have our blue over here. So this egg is inspired by Jasper Johns. And Jasper Johns, he painted a lot of things like flags and maps and numbers. So here's our American flag egg. We're going to move down here. This egg is going to be inspired by an artist named Roy Lichtenstein. So Roy Lichtenstein was a pop artist. So he made a lot of paintings that looked like comic books. And he used things called Ben-Day dots. And he would use Ben-Day dots to color things in. So we're going to do our Ben-Day dots here. So to do that, I'm going to start by putting the dots in the middle. I'm drawing circles. So I have 1 and then 2. And they kind of look like eyes. Since this egg is going to be round, we're going to draw a half circle because this circle is wrapping around the egg. Like that. Then we're going to have another row up above. We're going to put the circles in between our first circles. So 1, another one over here. What we're doing is we're making a pattern. Here we go. Then up here. And then I'm going to do some more half circles. Like that. And then up at the top, I'm going to do a circle. And then one on the side. And one on the other side. And then I just have the bottom part of my eggs. I'm going to put a circle in between the first two circles I did. One on the left and then one on the right. And then I'm going to have a couple more down here. And then the rest of my circles are just going to be half circles. So a half circle, and a half circle. Okay, so this egg I know is a little bit tricky, but go ahead and if you need to pause the video so you can look here and finish drawing the circles on the eggs, work on your own pace. Okay, so for my next egg, it's going to be this one right here, inspired by Yayoi Kusama. So we're going to draw some circles on the eggs. And we're going to make these circles a little bit more random and different sizes. So I have one right here. I'm going to put a smaller one here. I'm going to put a half circle because, again, the circles are wrapping around the eggs. One over here. Over here. And her name is Yayoi Kasuma. There we go. And she did a lot of pop art, just like Roy Lichtenstein. And again, I'll talk more about these artists later on, but I'm just going to be doing our first drawings first. So for this egg, we're going to have some more stripes, and they're going to be curved on this one. So this egg is going to be inspired by the artist Carmen Herrera. So we're going to have our curved lines. And fun fact about Carmen Herrera, she's actually 105 years old. This year she's turning 106. But she has paintings that have a lot of bold colors. They're really cool. But we're going to have our stripes like that. But then we're going to draw some slanted lines coming from the right. So to draw this, I'm actually going to put my pencil here in the middle of the egg, and I'm going to draw a slanted line up and to the right, like that. And then I'm going to put my pencil back in the middle of the egg and draw a slanted line down and to the right, like that. And that's it for my for this egg right here. We're gonna work on this egg over here, and this one is inspired by Mondrian. And Mondrian was an abstract painter. He is famous for his grids. I'm gonna draw these curved lines because, again, our egg is round. I'm going to start at the top and curve it to the bottom. So a round grid line on my egg. I'm going to draw two over here. So one and then two. And then I'm going to draw two curved lines in the middle of the egg. One and two. Okay. So here are our eggs. They are all drawn out. Since you've been working in pencil, yours might look more like this. But after everything is all drawn out, we're going to cut them out. So you have your scissors and just start cutting out the eggs. And we will be decorating these with markers. Just carefully cut them out. Here you go, here's one. It's my Roy Lichtenstein egg. go. I'm pretty excited to decorate everything because we've done so much cutting and so much drawing. I'm excited to see some color. There we go. Our Yayoi Kasuma egg. I really like this egg, how it looks with the stripes and then the arrow. I really like bold colors, and it's going to be colored in with bold colors. Look at them. They look like Easter eggs already. This one is our Alma Thomas egg. This one's going to be so colorful when it's done. Now I have a lot of extra paper. I'm just going to go ahead and snip it off. Then I have a smaller piece of paper to work with. My Jasper Johns egg, the American flag, okay. This one's my Agnes Martin. And the eggs will be a little bit easier to tell apart when they have color, because right now they all kind of look the same. But don't worry, they'll be very different when they're done. Uh-oh. My egg is hiding. There we are. And then my last egg, the Mondrian egg. There. So we have all of the eggs cut out. And they are ready to decorate. So it's time to start our final color. I have all of my eggs laid out that we cut out and drew on. But now it's time to color them in. It's finally time to decorate them. So to start, we're going to use markers. And we're actually just going to color in everything with markers today. So the egg we're going to start out with is this egg right here. And this egg is inspired by the artist Kay Sage. So we're going to use a color that's similar to what she would use. I'm going to use a tan color. So Kay Sage used lots of soft colors. So light colors like blue or white or tan when she drew her eggs, because she has a lot of eggs in her different paintings. So I'm going to start by tracing around the egg with my marker. And then I'm going to color it in like that. I know it's a little hard to see, but we're going to color it in. When it's all done, it will look a little bit darker than the rest of the eggs. There we go. So I'm just going to keep coloring it in. So this is inspired by Kay Sage, and she was a surrealist painter. And a lot of her paintings, so surrealism actually means dreamlike, so not realistic. case, Sage was inspired by, with her egg painting, she was inspired by her father because her dad had a collection of bird eggs. So a lot of times eggs would be in her paintings. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so this is all colored in. This one's going to be pretty simple. We're just going to take a gray marker and we're going to add some hatch marks on this to make it look a little bit more dimensional. So we're going to add a shadow on the side using hatch marks. And hatch marks are lines. So I'm going to draw some lines like this. And I'm going to get a little bit bigger in the middle of my shadow. Then I'm going to make it smaller as I go up. So do you see my lines on the left side of the egg? That's what yours is going to look like. So this egg is done. This egg is very simple. This egg right here is a little bit harder. So I'm going to actually take my Sharpie for this one because I want to have a nice pointy line, a nice pointy tip of my marker. I have the cap on the back and I'm going to trace all of these pencil lines. So this egg right here is inspired by the artist Carmen Herrera. And Carmen Herrera is alive today. And I'm going to flip this egg over. I think making curved lines like rainbows is a little bit easier. So I'm going to trace my curved lines. So yeah, inspired by Carmen Herrera. And Carmen Herrera is a Cuban American. She was born in Havana, and her paintings tend to have like a lot of bold colors, lots of blacks, lots of bright colors. There we go. This egg is going to be black and white. So I'm going to put my Sharpie away and I'm going to move to a bigger marker. I'm going to use a black marker. And I'm going to work on this side of the egg, the right side of the egg. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in every other stripe. So I'm going to fill this egg in first, the stripe. And it's easier if you trace around and then fill it in. And then we fill it. So I'm coloring in every other stripe. So I have this one up here, and then I skip this one, and then I move down here. There, so that's one side of my egg done. I'm going to do the other side. For this side, I'm going to also color in the stripes, but I'm going to skip these ones. So if there's black on the right side, that means on the left side, it's going to be white. So this top one needs to be black, and this one down here will be white. So I'm going to color the top one in like that. And then I'm going to skip this one, and I'm going to color this one right below. So I'm alternating my stripes. I'm going every other stripe. I'm going black, and then white, and then black, and then white. Now the kind of painting that Carmen Herrera did was abstract painting, which also means unrealistic. But it's a little bit different than surrealism, because surrealism would sometimes has things that you could recognize. Like Dali is a famous surrealist painter, and he painted clocks. Abstract painters, they usually don't have things that you can say, hey, that's a clock, or hey, that's an egg. They use lots of shapes and colors. So that's what Carmen Herrera does in her paintings. There we go. So that's our second egg all done. Okay, this egg is going to be pretty fun. Inspired by Alma Thomas, another abstract painter. We're going to start off with dark blue. And we're going to color the inside of this egg dark blue. So I'm going to trace around my circle. And then I'm going to fill it in. And this egg is going to have so many different colors. Alma Thomas was famous for using a lot of different colors. I'm going to start off with my light blue. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a lot of dashed lines, short little lines going around this blue circle, like this. So it's just going around. Like that. Then I'm going to add another layer. So Alma Thomas was an African-American artist, an abstract painter. What's cool about Alma Thomas is that she was actually an art teacher for many, many years before she retired and became an artist. Well, she was always an artist, but she started making paintings to sell. Okay. I'm going to put my light blue back. And I'm going to take this teal. And then I'm going to put some teal in between my two light blue. So do you see how it's in between? Just going to go around, add another layer. I'm drawing right on top of my light blue. And if this part gets a little bit confusing, don't worry. As long as you have these dashed lines going around your blue circle, then you're good. Okay. So I'm going to switch to my red. We're going to have warm colors on the outside of this egg. And we're going to have dashed lines going around. And you could leave white spots between your dashes. That's what you want. That's what Alma Thomas's paintings look like. There we go. Okay, I'm going to put my red away. And then I'm going to move on to orange. And I'm going to start using my dashed lines around the egg. Like that. And then I'm going to add another layer of the orange. And then my last layer, I'm going to have yellow. So I'm putting my dashed yellow lines all the way across. Then another layer just to finish the egg off. Okay. So here is our egg inspired by Alma Thomas. Our next egg is going to be inspired by an artist named Agnes Martin. So I'm going to take out my gray. And we're going to do our lines, our curved lines. Let's see. Here's my gray. So I'm going to begin by tracing the curved lines that I have drawn in pencil. I have one up here. We're going to end up drawing a lot more lines, but these are just our guidelines. So those are all traced. We're going to draw more lines in between. So in the middle here, we're going to add a line, a curved line. And then another curved line in the middle on this second row. Like that. And another one. And then here. And we're going to add one more curved line between each of these lines. So this egg is inspired by Agnes Martin. And Agnes Martin was a Canadian artist. So see how I'm putting my lines in between my other lines? That's what we're doing. We're going to do that until the egg is full of these lines. So Agnes Martin, she was a minimalist painter. That means her paintings didn't have a lot of bright colors or anything. They were mostly patterns. So she did a lot of lines or grids. And she used a lot of soft colors, so light colors. And that's it for our egg inspired by Agnes Martin. Okay. This egg that we're going to do next is really fun. It's inspired by Yayoi Kasuma. So take out your yellow and you're going to start by tracing around your egg. We're going to trace around the egg. It's going to be an all yellow egg. And then we're going to fill it with color. Like this. And we're going to color in the circles of our eggs. We're going to color them in with black. So you can go ahead and color them in first with yellow. And then color black on top of it. Because yellow is lighter than black, so it will not show up after it's covered up with black. Okay, so I have my black marker. I'm going to put the cap on the back. So we already have our circles drawn onto the egg, so we're just going to fill them in with black. So we're going to trace first, and then fill that in. Here we go. And these circles are all different sizes. So Yayoi Kasuma, she is a Japanese artist. And she has done a lot of pop art. So that's art that's influenced by pop culture. She uses a lot of bright colors. I color in my semicircles, my half circles, because they're wrapping around the round egg. And we're almost done coloring in this egg. There we go. And then this last one. There. Okay. That's a really fun egg. Okay. So next we're going to do our Mondrian egg. We're going to use our Sharpie again, because we want to have thinner lines. So I'm going to put the cap on the back. And then I'm going to trace my pencil lines. I'm just going to trace my pencil lines. So Mondrian was an abstract artist. He worked with grids as well. But he also added color to his grids. He used bright colors. He used primary colors in his grids. So that means red, yellow, blue. There we go. So now that we have our lines traced with our Sharpie, we're going to start filling the colors in with our red, yellow, and blue. So I'm going to start with red. I'm going to color in this one and this one in the middle. Like that. And you can choose which grids you want to color in. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine. It can look different. It's always nice when art looks different. Okay, I'm going to color this one in yellow. We're using primary colors. Just one. No, I'm going to have another one. Up here. Another yellow. There we go. And then our last primary color we have is blue. So cap on the back. I'm going to color this blue. So this corner and this corner. Okay. There's one last thing I want to do on my Mondrian egg. And that's I want it to take black. And I'm going to add one thick stripe. So these stripes are kind of skinny. I'm going to put one thick stripe here. So I'm just going to trace underneath using the flat part of my marker. Like that. There we go. Okay. So we have two more eggs to color in. This one right here is our Jasper Johns egg. So I'm going to start off with my blue. And I'm going to color in this blue corner. So I'm going to trace it. Like that. And then I'm going to fill it in. Okay. Then I'm going to take my red and I'm going to color in my stripes. And my stripes are going to skip one. So it's going to be white, red, white, red, white, red. So I'm going to do red at the top. There we go. And then we skip down here. Like that. And we're just going to keep filling in these stripes. And again, if I'm ever going too fast for you, you can go ahead and pause the video. There we go. Then I have one more stripe down here. Like that. Okay. So that's it for our Jasper Johns egg. And we have one last one, and it's this one, the Lichtenstein Egg. So we're going to start by using primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. We're going to go red, yellow, and blue. We're going to color in these polka dots. So all we do to color in the polka dots is trace them and then color them in. Like that. So I'm tracing and coloring them in. And I'm going to do them in rows. So I don't want my eggs to look random. In the end, I'm going to have a row of red, a row of yellow, and a row of blue. So that's my red. I'm going to switch out to a different color. I'm going to switch out to my blue. And I'm going to trace these again and then color them in. I'm going to do all of the circles on the top. They're going to be blue. Like that. And then I have my last blue circles up here. Okay. And my last color is my yellow. So I'm going to trace my circles and then color them in. There we go. Okay. And that's it for the eggs that we're all coloring in. I'm going to put my markers to the side because we're actually done with the markers. And I'm going to put my eggs to the side too. We're not quite done with the project. We still have to decorate our background. So here's the background that we did in the first part of the video. And what we're going to do is we're going to decorate the background according to the egg that is hidden inside. So for this surrealist egg, it's going to go in the sky because that's pretty dreamlike and surrealist. So this is my K-Sage egg, and it's floating in the sky. I'm going to put my Lichtenstein egg in the bush. So I'm just hiding my eggs around right now. My Yayoi Kasuma egg is going to go right here. So do you see how that spiky grass looks against the eggs? Pretty cool. We have our Jasper Johns egg. I'm going to put it right here. My Mondrian egg here. My Carmen Herrera egg here. My Agnes Martin. And I'm going to make a, I'm going to put one of the owl houses, like the holes in the tree, is going to go right here. And we actually had to cut one more thing out. I'm going to take out my brown paper. And I'm going to cut out So now that our eggs are decorated, we're going to decorate the background. So here's our background, all ready to go. And I'm going to go ahead and hide my eggs around my background. So I have my Carmen Herrera egg. It's going to go in this grass here. We have our Yayoi Lichtenstein egg. It's going to go in the bushes. Our K-Sage egg. It's going to go in the cloud because it's a surrealist egg. We have our Alma Thomas egg. It's going to go in the tree. Our Mondrian egg, I'm going to put it in the rock. Our Agnes Martin egg, I'm going to put in the grass here. And then our Jasper Johns egg, I'm going to put in this rock. And then my Yayoi Kusama egg, I'm going to put here. Okay, so this is where our eggs are going to go. We're going to decorate our eggs' hiding places to match the artist. So I have oil pastels. We're going to use oil pastels. And we're going to start coloring, decorating our background. Okay, so let's decorate our Yayoi Lichtenstein egg first. So for this one, we're going to do the Ben Day dots. So we're just going to draw dots along the edge of our bush, like that. And we're just making circles. So again, Yayoi Lichtenstein was a pop artist. He did lots of paintings that looked like comic books. So we're kind of inspired by that comic book look. And there we go. I'm going to do some more up here too. And you can switch out your green colors if you want. Just gonna go all the way across. But see, we have our Ben-Day dots on the egg, and it's matching the Ben-Day dots on our bush. Like that. There we go. So that's it for our Roy Lichtenstein egg and our decorating. We're gonna move on. Let's do our Case Sage. So because Case Sage did a lot of kind of realistic paintings, even though they were surrealism, where it was dreamlike, her paintings did look quite realistic. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna shade this cloud in. So to do this, we have our gray, and I'm gonna color in like this at the bottom of the clouds. I'm just gonna trace around the bottom of the clouds. I'm gonna do the same thing up here, like that. Then I'm gonna put my gray away. Then I'm gonna take out my white. And I'm just gonna blend over the gray to make it a little softer. So Case Sage, again, was a surrealist artist. And she did lots of eggs in her paintings. And her memoir is called China Eggs. And she was inspired by her dad, who would collect bird eggs. So that's why she had a lot of eggs in her painting. Okay, then over here, we're just trying to make the clouds look a little bit more realistic, like Case Sage's eggs. There we go. So that's it for our Case Sage egg. We're going to move on to our Agnes Martin egg. So just like we have our stripes on our eggs, we're just gonna add stripes on the grass that our egg is hiding behind. We're just gonna do up and down lines, just like lines like this. I'm using green. So we're trying to be inspired by Agnes Martin and her geometric abstract paintings. She had a minimalist style. That means it didn't have a lot of bold things. So like Yayoi Kasuma had a lot of bold colors and shapes. Agnes Martin had very soft colors and thin lines. And she did a lot of grids. And she did abstract paintings. And Agnes Martin was Canadian. So I'm almost done putting my lines on this patch of grass. There we go. I'm gonna put that away. This one's gonna be a fun one, the Carmen Herrera egg. We're gonna do it in bold colors, just like Carmen Herrera's paintings. So I'm gonna use orange and black. So I'm gonna start with orange. I'm gonna trace the grass, how I have those pointy lines. I'm gonna trace. And then I'm gonna make this line a little bit thicker. I'm gonna start coloring it in, and I'm gonna put a thick line around my grass because she used lots of bold colors. And this is Carmen Herrera, and she is a Cuban-American artist. She was born in Havana. And she is alive today. She's turning 106 this year. Here we go. And we're pressing hard when we use our oil pastel. We're using it like a crayon. There. So I'm done with my orange. I'm going to take my black now. And I'm going to trace underneath my orange line like that. There we go. And then I'm going to fill this corner in with black. So I'm going to press hard and I'm going to fill it with color. There we go. We want to cover up our paper as best as we can. If we press hard, it looks nice and smooth when it's colored in. And I'm using oil pastels, but if you want to use something else like marker or colored pencils, you can. Okay. I'm gonna put my black away. We're all done with this corner. We're gonna move on to our Jasper Johns hiding place. And I'm gonna put stars on this rock. So I'm gonna take my yellow and I'm just gonna draw little stars. And I'm drawing stars because Jasper Johns is most famous for his painting of an American flag. So I'm going to put stars on this rock, just like the American flag. And your stars can be stars or they could be simple circles. There we go. And Jasper Johns was an American artist, and he did lots of paintings of flags, of maps, of numbers and letters. So we're done with this one, very simple. Next, we're going to take the black again, and we're going to color in the Mondrian rock right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw some straight lines. I'm going to put my oil pastel on one of the corners because I have kind of a pointy rock, and I'm going to draw a line down like that, and then like to the side, and then back up. So I'm just doing these straight lines, kind of like cracks, and they don't have to look like mine. They can be anything that you like. They can even be a grid where it's just like squares. There we go. I'm going to fill this in with some primary colors, so red, yellow, and blue. So I have my red. I'm going to fill this corner in like this. So here's red. I'm going to do yellow here. And then blue. We're using primary colors because Mondrian would use primary colors. See the egg over here. So Mondrian was a Dutch artist, and he was actually inspired to do these grids because he was flying in an airplane and he looked down. And he thought that the grass with like the streets and the farmlands, they looked like grids. So he started drawing and painting grids. And the kind of art he did is called abstract. There we go. Okay. So next we're going to color in here. This one is our Alma Thomas egg, and we're going to do the same dashed lines around the egg. So I'm going to take my brown, and I'm going to do these dashed lines around the egg, underneath the egg, some more. It's going to go around and around. It's going to look like that. I'm going to switch up my colors too. There we go. I'm going to switch to red. And I'm going to do some red lines around. Now, if I'm ever going too fast for you, you can always pause the video. There we go. I'm going to do one more of the red. Like this. There we go. Then I'm going to take my brown and I'm going to peel the paper off because I want to put some texture on the tree. I'm going to break this in half. And I'm going to put this on the side and I'm going to pull down like this. So I'm pulling down like that. I'm going to go over here, do the same thing. I skipped a bit and I left a stripe because a lot of Alma Thomas's paintings had those kind of stripes. Like that. Put this away. Then I'm going to take my yellow. I don't have to peel the paper off on this one, but I'm going to put it on the side. And I'm going to fill the rest in with color right there. Like that. Okay. And Alma Thomas was a African American artist, and she got famous after she retired from her career of being an art teacher. Okay, we have one more egg to go, and that's our Yayoi Kusama egg. Yayoi Kasuma. Okay, so Yayoi Kasuma, she did a lot of paintings of mushrooms and she used lots of bright colors. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start with red. And I'm going to put a mushroom right next to this egg. And I'm going to start by drawing a rainbow line. I'm going to make a shape so it's a half circle. Then I'm going to fill it in. This is the top of the mushroom. Underneath this mushroom, I'm going to switch to my light blue. And I'm going to add a light blue line underneath the red. And then I'm going to take my orange. And I'm going to put a stem underneath the mushroom. And we want our mushroom to match our egg. So we're going to take black. I'm going to peel it a little bit. I'm running out of oil pastel. And I'm going to take my oil pastel, the black one, and I'm going to add polka dots onto my mushroom. Black polka dots. Here we go. I'm going to do one more mushroom down here. And I'm going to use the same colors, but you can use different colors as long as those colors are bright. So I have the red cap. Going to color it in. I'm going to take my light blue and draw a line underneath. But again, you could use any colors you want as long as they're bright. My orange stem for the mushroom. And then black polka dots. And that's it for our eggs. Wonderful job. So before we end today, we have to clean up our area. So I'm going to put my oil pastels away. We're done with them. I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to put this to the side as well. I have my wipes over here. I'm gonna wipe my hands. Then I'm gonna wipe my table. Maybe you have a napkin or a wipey, or you want to go wash your hands at the sink. Those are all good. What's important is that we have our area clean for next time. Okay, wonderful. Wonderful work on your projects. You worked so hard. So before we leave today, let's do a little bit of review. Let's talk about the famous artists that we were inspired by for our Easter eggs. We had Jasper Johns, an American painter who liked to paint the flag. We had Alma Thomas, an African American artist who used lots of bright colors. We had Mondrian, a Dutch artist who was an abstract artist. He used lots of bright primary colors and grids. We had Carmen Herrera, an abstract artist. She was born in Havana and she used lots of bold colors like black and orange. We had Agnes Martin, who used light colors. She was a minimalist and she used grids and lines. We had Roy Lichtenstein. He used his Ben Day dots, and he was a pop artist. He did lots of paintings that looked like comic books. We had Kay Sage, a surrealist artist who was inspired by her dad's egg collection. And we had Yayoi Kasuma, a Japanese pop artist who used lots of bright colors. All right, everyone, happy Easter. Until next time, bye.